Welcome to my channel where we cook and bake unedited, meaning that I'm just going to go for it, let the camera roll, and I make recipes. This is a red velvet, sugar-free, low-carb donut recipe that you're going to want to make, and it's delicious. Now, the first thing we're going to do is swift almond flour. Almond flour must always be swifted because sometimes these factories cannot get everything fully processed. So any little chunkies that are left, throw those out, okay? Then we're going to swift all our dry ingredients. This includes sweetener, cocoa, baking powder, Zactum gum, and that is it. So once we get those nice and swifted, we're going to mix this all up. And look, you're going to be able to find the whole recipe on my blog, so don't you worry, okay? We're going to add some non-dairy milk. You can use whatever you have at hand. Sometimes I just have heavy cream. A little vanilla, okay, because vanilla always adds to it. We're going to add oil, and then you could use butter if you want to make it like dairy. So this is technically still considered dairy-free, but it's up to you guys, okay? And always don't forget, if you're working anything chocolate or red velvet, use some instant coffee. That's going to help enrich that chocolate goodness, okay? Then we're going to add the eggs, and we do 3 eggs, and you can easily double this recipe, cut this recipe in half, and it is foolproof. It's super easy. And then I always like to add the red food coloring before I completely start mixing all the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, so that way I can start seeing the color come to life. Now, this red was so potent. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it wasn't even like an off-brand one. Like, normally I was like, this was very pleasantly surprised because I just had to put that chorrito, and it was a perfect, beautiful red color, okay? Now, here you see me kind of showing you guys that I'm filming for my long-form content. I am short-form content. I'm a Reels and TikTok kind of girl. So I'm moving on to bringing these recipes onto YouTube for you guys, so you guys can kind of see the behind the scenes and how it comes all together instead of seeing it in the 20-30 second clips. You know what I'm saying? So these are piping bags that I always have on stock because I used to do cake. So I always have piping bags. And I always think that you guys should always have piping bags, but you could also use a Ziploc bag, okay? And do the same method where you put it over the cup and then add your batter in. Clip the little corner, and then you can start piping it into your silicone molds or your pan. Now, I highly recommend getting silicone molds when it comes to donuts because sometimes I feel like they get stuck, okay? Like, for some reason, and it's harder to push those out when it's metal. You can't even push them out. So with this option, you're able to push them out, and I found these on Amazon, and they were not expensive at all, okay? And I really like them. So once we pipe all our donuts, we're going to put these babies in the oven at 350 degrees for about 12 to 14 minutes, okay? You just want to check them, and then they will be done. You're going to allow these to cool off. And look, man, so this is a collaborative recipe that I created. It's actually originally my donut recipe for my cookbook, but a girl and I were going to do a collaborate where she does one that's like, full of sugar, with regular flour. And then my version is the low carb, sugar-free version of a red velvet donut. And so, originally I had intentions, we were supposed to match them up, right? I'm just doing a version that's sugar-free and low carb, matching hers. And oh my goodness, why did I not have powder sweetener? Like, come on, Joyce. So I was like, okay, let me see what I got. I found these like simple, delish, little protein icing mixtures. And so I said, maybe I can thin it out to be able to dip these donuts. Now look, it did not want to thin out. I was like, okay, let me add. I ended up adding some nut pod creamer, a little bit of my clear vanilla flavoring. It's a syrup that you can get from Chalk Zero. It's sugar free. And after I did it, I was like, you know what? It may not be dippable, but it's definitely spreadable. So I spread it on top of my donuts. You're going to see I did crumble one of the donuts to make it as a decoration piece on top. And if you guys want to get the regular sugar, the regular full of sugar donut recipe that I know is as delicious as a low carb sugar free version, if you go to my Instagram post, you'll be able to see the donuts, and you can go and get her recipe from there on my Instagram. And let me tell you, I originally could not find my powder sweetener. Like, why did I not find it? I was out of powder sweetener. I couldn't believe it. But so I ended up using this little packet from Simply Delish to make icing, and it was a little chunky, but it worked. I mean, it tasted decent, but next time I definitely would just go with powder sweetener and some cream cheese, and then I crumbled another donut on top for the decoration purposes. And let me tell you, make sure you guys hit that follow, save, like button. Make sure you guys turn on notifications. Don't miss out. There's gonna be a lot more recipes coming to you guys. I'm also gonna be doing more blogging, sharing behind scenes of a foodie. I do a lot of food reviews, so I definitely want to bring you guys along. But these donuts are so delicious.